there's a very cartoonish quality to the entry here. The diving knee onto the leg is meant to look very violent and painful, which of course, the way that they arrange it, it is not. However, the particular landing aside, here's a little thought experiment for you guys who are practitioners of modern grappling. Where he ends up looks remarkably like what you might find yourself in when you're going for one of the knee slice passes, right? There's a knee slice pass where your open hip faces him, and there's a knee slice pass where your belly button faces to the corner away from him, and you end up sliding into kind of like a kesagatami or head and arm control, right? But there's a nice knee ripper submission where if I decide I don't actually want to complete a knee slice into like a past guard into a head and arm or whatever, if I decide instead that I want to take his ankle with me, and it can end up being a knee ripper that we don't really see a lot of these days outside of catch wrestling. But, it has like some elements of Frank Gotch toe holds and ankle ripping, but the knee pinning the opponent knee and using this rotation is one that I use in my real grapples to this day with advanced players. And I actually take it even further than the guy in this video does, in that I expose my back way more than like most jiu-jitsu people are willing to do just to get that knee ripper submission. And I only do this on people who know that I go for these kind of catch wrestling submissions. Like I wouldn't just do like a knee ripper rotational submission on someone who didn't know me or didn't know that I was into these wacky things, because there is a higher danger coefficient. And, when you do some of these old catch wrestling submissions where there's like knee ripping elements to it, if you don't know someone and you do that to them, if you didn't injure them after they tap, they might get up and literally slap you in the face or whatever else. I mean, there's very, very high levels of sensitivity to submissions that people are not familiar with if they introduce any rotational strain to the knee joint. Even in this day of age where there's more acceptance of heel hooks. So that's always going to be a little bit funny to me. But again, just the lack of familiarity with some of these more like quote unquote archaic knee ripping submissions are going to make people have sensitivities to them, because it's my observation that in grappling, when people don't understand submissions or they're not common, even if they're very effective, but people just don't have a level of familiarity with them, they can get like really pissy and violent about it. So buyer beware. If you are going to train these submissions and go for them in grappling, I would recommend that you establish relationships of trust with your training partners, and also establish like a known reputation within them that you communicate out loud, where you're like, hey, just so you know, I go for some of these catch wrestling submissions. Here's what they look like. Here's what kind of strain it introduces on your knee. Here's the risks. If you're cool that I'd like to go for these in our grapple, and I promise not to ever wrench it if I think you don't know that you're in danger, like I can catch it and release. Doesn't matter to me. This is all just training. And then you can have a lot more fun and explore these kinds of things. But if you're in a knuckleheaded gym, or if you're with someone who you don't really have that level of trust and safety with, don't do it. It's just not worth it.